Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mysterious Pal Show. My name is Chris, and I'm here with my best pal, Jordan. Jordan, thank you for getting here with me today, pulling into my driveway and walking into my house.
Takes it out of you. A lot of work.
Yeah. At our advanced age, it's tough to get out of the car. Really, it's tough to just even want to get up off the couch.
Yes.
But thank you for being here. And today, I know the last few weeks have been a little weird. We had a two-part episode recently posted, and we had a guest for 2 episodes. So we're back in the new year, just rolling like the old days of a couple months ago when we started this thing.
Mano y mano.
So I know we're gonna jump right in here today. Today we're gonna be doing something a little different. Like usually we do, I'm gonna say believable, but like stuff that is not out of this world. I don't know the best way to say it.
We've done some for a few times with like theories about things that we've talked about of like what happened and like possible explanations for these things.
Yeah,
we've gotten a little far fetched with it, but most of this stuff has been usually around reality.
Yeah, So I'm not saying today isn't about reality, but we haven't ever done a mysterious episode about aliens.
No, we haven't.
And that's cool. What I'm here to talk about today. I really wanted to do an aliens episode, especially when you start looking at like ancient alien stuff.
Yeah.
With that guy on the TV with the crazy
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And some of the stuff's pretty far fetched, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not going to say it's wrong, but today we're going to talk about something that is aliens could be one answer.
Yeah, which is cool because recently there's been a lot of talk about aliens
in our government,
the
United States government. Yeah. And I think, with all those things, they're like this really crafts, like probably drones, probably our drones or other drones, or not going to tell you what you're working on.
Yeah.
I always thought maybe, why couldn't they just be little aliens? I don't know if it's really out there, but there's probably some kind of thing out there where they're like, what if aliens are just like this big?
Wasn't that in one of the Men in Blacks? Like the found out like a little tiny alien's been controlling this like body they thought was human, but he's like face opens up and just like a little guy, and they're like joysticks controlling him.
What?
Is that Men in Black?
I've only seen the first one, I think.
Okay.
Was there other ones? There was a second one I know. Was there a third one?
Yeah, but they didn't have the same.
Will Smith wasn't in it?
No, it was Chris Hemsworth and
Why wasn't you can't even call it Men in Black then? Stupid. It's garbage. They tried to do that RIPD or whatever.
Yeah.
That's dumb. I mean, other than what's his name was in it.
I do like
the Mint Mobile guy.
The Mint Mobile guy. No, that's how you recognize. No, not Deadpool or like I don't know anything else he's done, but
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder. He's a Mint Mobile guy.
He's on every pre-roll. He probably was a pre-roll before this.
Right. But yeah, like
he seems great.
With aliens, like it doesn't have to be like a humanoid looking thing. It could be like it
doesn't even have to be like, it could be dimensional.
Right.
I think there are aliens, which I believe there are aliens out there. I think there are aliens out there. Maybe they've come here. I can't really answer that question. I mean, maybe. It may be as dumb as us and just never got off their own planet.
Yeah, right.
There's all those theories about like, wow, there's probably other civilizations. They probably died out a long time ago.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's that ladder. Yeah. They talk about like different civilizations and stuff like that.
I mean, I'd imagine there are probably plenty of civilizations out there.
Gotta be something.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
They could just be like a blob or like,
Or, this is like getting real weird and deep, but like, do you think our universe is just like a galaxy and there's other universes? Like when you kind of pull back, we're in a galaxy, we're in a solar system, which is in a galaxy.
Yeah.
Which is in
a
universe, which what if the universe is just a part of other universes in a bigger ultimate universe?
Going back to Men in Black.
But yeah, well,
they're playing with marbles and we're in that marble.
Yeah, but what if we're just an atom?
Yeah.
What if every atom is a universe?
Ooh. Where's my brain?
Yeah, wrinkles my tush. All right, so I want to know, do you think and this is just before we started in the story, do you think the aliens built the Great Pyramids of Giza?
No.
We're not going to talk about that today, but do you think there's a lot of people out there that think that?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
It always comes up.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way humans could do this, but
right. It's a very hotly debated thing. Like, if humans did it, how could they have possibly done it wid the technology we have today?
Called having a ton of slaves. Apparently, if you have a lot of slaves,
which they had, but I think I remember seeing that like they did have some kind of crane. Now it's not our cranes look like today. It's not mechanical, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how they did it, but I don't think aliens did it.
It's just using a pivot point.
Okay.
That's pretty easy to do.
Some big blocks.
Yeah, but also they're rolling them on stuff like a bunch of logs. I mean, plus they have a ton of slaves.
Yeah, right.
Apparently, that's all you need to get things done. I guess that's how the human history has been built on the path of slaves. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Society has been built on that.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it sucks.
Of course it's not. Yeah, I don't think aliens did it though.
Do you think, how'd they get them so smooth though? Those blocks.
What, chiseling, I guess? I don't know.
I don't know. It's pretty cool.
But there are things throughout history where like civilizations they're like polytheistic. Maybe what they're like drawing or writing or seeing maybe weren't gods, like they're gods that they worship, but they're aliens. Like that's been a thing too, like throughout history. So I don't know.
We interpret gods as aliens.
Yeah.
Or we interpret aliens as gods.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense with everything else. But I still think little baby aliens, like they're all like this big, like micro machines. Remember those stupid things? Yeah, but then you lose them or you step on them or hurt your foot and you're this is stupid. And then I can find all my Matchbox cars I gave them to my kids, but like I can never find. I had a billion micro machines.
I did too. Yeah, I don't know what to do with them. My parents get stepping on them, and just threw them away.
Oh yeah, that's what I do. I take one toy and put it in a bag. And then after a couple months, I like have a whole bunch. Like every once in a while, I just take it. My kids don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't ask for it, I'm like,
you take it out.
I just throw it in the garbage because there's so much stupid. Like, toys are insane.
Yes.
All right. Back to reality, right? So what we're going to be talking to today is something called a mystery airship, or was also mentioned or has been called the phantom airships. And in 1896 and early 1897, this was something like a phenomenon. It was a wave, they called it. It was this wave of...
So for like 1 year,
it was
or a little more.
Around a year.
Yeah.
It was this phenomenon going on in the United States from coast to coast. People were seeing these flying mystery airships, they called them.
Okay.
And when you start explaining, like getting some of like and this is the late 1800s, and there's going to be some reasons why there's going to be things going on. We're going to get into all that. But these reports were coming in as unidentified lights at night, while more descriptions portrayed them as vessels, kind of resembling dirigibles.
Dirigibles?
Dirigibles.
Okay.
Kind of early blimps.
Okay.
A blimp is a dirigible.
Oh, all right. Dirigible.
And there's estimates that say... and from research has been done about this kind of like phenomenon that happened in the United States, there was 100,000 individual reported sightings from between 1896 and 1897 during this, what they call the wave.
Okay.
The mystery airship wave. These reports come in from cities, towns. They're reported in all these different major newspapers, small newspapers. And it's what is seen as a precursor to the modern UFO like craze or claims.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what we report on today, like when people say like from especially the 60s and 70s, those reports and that kind of what they call that another wave.
Yeah.
This is kind of where it all kind of was like the first start of it in the United States.
Interesting. Okay.
And like these kind of things that people were saying kind of are used as a way to explain what was happening in later years. So
it's interesting because like the UFO craze that started, at least in the U.S. with Roswell, that was like kind of right around the start of the whole atomic age.
Yeah.
So people start thinking about like science fiction starts becoming a thing, and like maybe that's in people's heads. So maybe what they're saying, they're like, oh, it might not actually be a UFO, but might be something else. But like that idea of like science fiction and extraterrestrial stuff is in your head, but like
popular culture. And
yeah, right. But back then, like
it was still a thing.
Yeah.
It was still happening in a different way.
Yeah. But it's interesting because like science fiction wasn't really
Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Those books were coming out.
Okay.
So as we come into that, we're going to go back to that when we get into like the discussion of like what was going on and why this is a mystery. Because you could just say like, oh, well, it's just people seeing, or it's this, or it's like it.
It's like our government was like the Air Force wasn't even a thing then.
There was military stuff going on.
Okay. All right.
Well, claims. So this is again, a lot of this is reported on, but there's also another thing going on with the kind of newspapers at the time.
Yeah.
And we'll go into that too.
Interesting you said people are seeing this in cities, because a lot of times when you hear about UFOs, it's like it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like
major cities.
One or two person like in a rural area see it and they're like, but cities are seeing it. People
and
in
not
cities
only
are seeing
that,
this.
multiple people, like a group of people are seeing them together, shared experiences,
right.
Especially in California, San Francisco, those areas.
Okay.
So there's going back to like what we're kind of like building up to. Some would say these could be inventions from an undisclosed genius or inventor who opted to keep his invention confidential. Some would say that this could be the pinnacle of, or the kind of, not the pinnacle, but like the kind of a race to conquer the skies of controlled flight, kind of powered controlled flight for humans. Although the Wright brothers weren't until 19-something, 1903.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really, people would say like, well, but that was a different type of flight. The dirigibles are still, we're going to go into what's going on with that technology.
You might go this, but what are the sizes of these things?
They range in size.
Okay.
Mostly all big. And they're all of a certain time of day, like kind of all common theories. And someone actually later will go into it, mapped it out, all the sightings.
Oh, really?
And found out and like figured out a map that could have, of how it could have gone based on times and reports. We'll go into that. While I just mentioned that the race to conquer the sky for powered flight was going on, kind of just starting maybe in some ways or kind of continuing, there were people, we're going to go into this, making things that could fly, that were powered.
Okay.
But
not like in like the way we like,
not like the Wright brothers, not a plane,
yeah.
but like these flying dirigibles were kind of really big at this time, like kind of like across Europe and America and stuff. This also could be a case of yellow journalism, because this was the era when newspapers were prone to printing fabricated stories so that they can sell newspapers.
Yeah.
So those are three major, like, I don't know what you call like columns or like tenets.
Tent poles,
thank you, of what this phenomenon could be about. And they could all be happen, or none of them could happen. Like they could all be true, or none of them could be true.
Okay.
So the question we're going to be discussing is the mystery airships of 1896, aliens, fake news, or human ingenuity. Are you ready?
Buckle into my airship.
Well, let's play the game. What's that show?
Play the game? What game?
Who's that guy? Al Borland says it. Family Feud.
Oh, Family Feud.
Yeah. That's not the Steve Harvey show, is it?
He does Family Feud now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like his suits. Those are cool. I can't pull them off. I just wish I could dress nicely.
Yeah.
I like ties.
You got a sweet mustache.
I can't pull that either. Like some guys are just blessed.
Yeah.
You know? They got talent, good looks. Steve Harvey's a great example of that. So in 1896, North America witnessed a phenomenon characterized by the sightings of strange lights resembling an airship. So there were lights too. We're not just talking about just some weird floating thing. The event spanned from San Francisco to Chicago and even into the East Coast. And it captivated thousands of people were involved in this. Like I said, 100,000 recorded sightings.
100,000?
Over 100,000 recorded sightings throughout the United States during this year.
Jeez, all right.
96, 97. So what I want to start with now is, so that's what the story is about, but I want to go into these kind of like prior sightings that are kind of mentioned throughout history, that this isn't just like, I'm bringing these up because I don't want this to be like, this is only about, like, this is just when it happened. When I said modern UFO sightings are kind of based around this idea of what happened in 1896, but I actually went into this whole research phase looking at like aliens in like ancient times. And so there's a lot of stuff out there, and we may do some future shows on that. But what I came up with, what I found was some really interesting ones from like not super ancient times, but like more recent.
Okay.
And these kind of things were happening in different ways where people were seeing things in the sky. But I think a lot of them could be attributed to like celestial events and stuff.
Yeah.
So the first one I'm going to mention is a 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, Germany, which at this time was not Germany.
No, it was the Holy Roman Empire.
And the Holy Roman Empire was around until
Napoleon.
Because was it around whenever this event was taking place?
In 1561?
No, the 1896 events that we're talking about.
No, it would have been done at this point.
Okay.
Because Napoleon kind of decimated Europe, became emperor, and then the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire dissolved it. His allegiance was to Napoleon during his whole reign.
Okay. So at this point, it's still it's still the Holy Roman Empire, the human Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So it's reported in a broadsheet, which at the time was just was it a pamphlet kind of thing, like a newspaper almost. Reported a broadsheet that event started at the dawn on April 14th, 1561. Witnesses reported elaborate scene resembling an aerial battle out of the sun. Large black triangular objects observed during the battle. Witnesses reported seeing hundreds of spheres, cylinders, and other peculiar, strange shapes and strange shaped objects. Objects exhibited erratic movements overhead, suggesting an unusual and dynamic event. So it wasn't just like something floating in front of the sun.
They thought a battle was happening?
Yes, because it was multiple dark objects. Moving
erratically, not just like...
That's what they say. It's reported as erratic movements. You can still go read the broadsheet, and there was actually a woodcut illustrating the event that accompanied the broadsheet. So it was crosses with small spheres on the arms, with spheres on the arms, small spheres, two large crescents, and a black spear. These are all on the woodcut. I've seen it. It's really interesting. Maybe I'll put it in the video right now, or go look for it yourself, or I'll put in a link in the show notes. It's really interesting. It's like, it looks like something you'd see in the 1500s. It's like really interesting of like what they're trying to illustrate what's going on. It doesn't really help the story, but it's interesting to see what someone perceived it as. Cause it's like, oh, some scientists looked into this, are like, oh, was this event or was this event? But there were cylindrical objects from which small spheres emerged, darting around the dark sky. Or the sky at dawn, sorry. The broadsheet claims that the exhausted combatant spheres fell to the earth in clouds of smoke off in the distance. So maybe it was a meteor shower?
So there's spheres, triangular shaped things too?
Yes. Spheres.
Wow.
Triangular shaped things, and they all fell to the earth, and they were darting around dynamically, which means like, okay, it's not just like I don't know.
Yeah, something that's not falling. Right.
Because it wouldn't be darting around dynamically. I don't know. Okay, another one is 1566, celestial phenomenon over Basel, Switzerland. And this was kind of, I guess it was recently debunked or debunked eventually as being known as a sundog. Basically, it was a celestial event.
Sundog.
It's like, basically, I think, I looked it up recently. It's when sun reflects off of ice in the atmosphere, maybe?
That's a thing?
Yeah. Sundog. Okay, wait. Okay, I got that backwards. So the event from Nuremberg was
the sundog one?
Scientists said it was a sundog.
Okay.
Which I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm not gonna. I think it's a reflection of suns. like a sun reflection off of ice in the atmosphere, upper atmosphere. It is an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot to one or both sides of the sun. The sun dogs flank the sun within a 22-degree halo.
What?
Yeah, like it's a weird
This
image.
is a real thing?
Like, it's caused by refraction of sunlight by ice crystals in the atmosphere. So the upper atmosphere. There's basically like ice crystals up there. Sun's reflecting off it weird. And it's causing like a reflection. So it must have been like as the icicles were maybe falling through the sky, it was reflecting off them weird. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Alien sounds better than that.
Yeah, I'm just a little poor boy trying to make this world a better place. So back to the Basel, which I hope I'm saying that right. Switzerland? Whatever. I'm sorry, Switzerland.
How's it spelled?
B-A-S-E-L.
B-A-S-E-L?
Yeah. Basel?
Basel?
Basel, Switzerland. Hey, sorry about that, Switzerland. So this event was reported by another large group gathering of people during the morning time, kind of in the morning. People were saying it was a miracle, sky spectacle is what they called it. They saw 3 celestial objects. One was described as an unusual sunrise. The second was a total eclipse of the moon and then a red sun rising. Ooh. And the third was a cloud of black spheres in front of the sun. So it happened a few times over the course of this few months.
Oh, so, okay.
That specific thing happened, apparently, it was recorded as happening on the 27th, 28th of July, and August 7th during that year.
I was going to say, it could have been an eclipse, but if it's happening several days in a row.
Yeah, so.
Maybe someone looked at the eclipse and just went blind from it.
Yeah, like the little floaties you get. Yeah. So 1868 in Chile, there was a sighting reported on by a local newspaper account in July 1868. So around the same time we're talking. Or no, wait. We're in 1896, 97. This is 1868. Okay, so 30 years later.
Precursor.
Prior, yeah. Witnesses describe a gigantic bird with brilliant scales. The creature emanated a metallic sound when flying over the town of Chile.
Giant metallic bird.
Yes, giant metallic bird, brilliant scales.
Phoenix.
The 1880 Louisville, Kentucky sighting.
Oh.
You're probably there for this, right?
Yeah.
1880s. On July 29th, 2 witnesses reported seeing a flying object resembling a man surrounded by machinery in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's cool.
It's probably you. That's how you got here. They dropped you off.
Yeah, like, we gave you him now.
Yeah.
He's yours, Kentucky.
He's yours, Kentucky. Good luck.
So he's a man in the sky surrounded by
machinery. Flying man.
That's pretty cool.
It was a flying object resembling a man.
Yeah.
The figure appeared to manipulate machinery with his hands and had wings extending from its back. So it was like Iron Man almost.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Again.
Moonshine.
Yeah. New Jersey sighting in August 1880. A month later, similar sighting occurred in New Jersey. Same robot man.
Okay.
Described in the New York Times, and then he resembled a man with bat's wings and improved frog's legs flying around in the sky.
Improved frog's legs?
Yes. The creature waved its wings in response to a locomotive whistle. So in response to it, yeah.
He's probably excited because he's doing this. And
yeah.
They did it. And
yeah.
He's like, yeah, thanks.
Again, probably you. Okay.
This is so weird.
Another in 1880. So this is like another wave, the 1880 grouping. An airship sighting was reported by Jerome Clark in New Mexico in 1880 and along the German-Polish border in 1892. And Jerome Clark, he reported on this. He was a American writer. He specialized in unidentified flying objects and other paranormal subjects. He appeared on ABC News, Unsolved Mysteries, A&E Network, and he discussed basically like UFOs, that type of stuff. So he's kind of part of that whole grouping in the, I mean, this would have been 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay.
All right, so that's like kind of like prior. There's a couple other little ones in there, and there's some people that kind of discuss them and kind of bring in their own theories. But
the multiple, like the ones that you just talked about, multiple people have, like,
these are all multiple recorded sightings by newspapers. So
newspapers, okay.
Those are all recorded, not just like some guy scrumming some crap down. Like it was actually reported on during those times, those dates. And those are kind of around the time we're talking. I didn't really want to go too far back because there are some really cool ones we may talk about in the future of like armies conquering cities and like things coming down from the sky to like help them and stuff. So
all right.
Yeah, there's some really awesome ones out there. So back to our original story with the initial sightings happening in November 17th, 1896. So we can pass all those other ones we just talked about. Now we're jumping back ahead to what we're talking about in this episode. So November 17th, 1896 is the first sightings that was described as part of this wave. So a rainy night in Sacramento, a bright light believed to be an airship appeared about 1,000 feet above the rooftops of the city. The Sacramento Bee and the San Francisco Call reported the first sightings, which had taken place on, again, November 17th, but the report was in the November 18th edition of their respective things. Witnesses reporting a light moving slowly over Sacramento in the evening of November 17th at an estimated 1,000-foot elevation. Now, the important thing to remember about this, you're like, oh, it's just a light in the sky. We have planes. We have planes.
Yeah, right.
There was nothing flying at this point in time. I mean, it could have been some kind of projectile, like launched. It didn't really have like guided missiles or anything like that.
No.
We weren't. Literally, there was no powered flight technically yet.
Right.
That the citizens would have known about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important to remember that we're going to get into that later. So some witnesses said they could see a dark shape behind the light. So they were seeing a light in the sky, which is same kind of stuff we hear about now from the 60s on. Lights in the sky.
Yeah.
And now this is like happening 1896.
Things aren't flying yet.
Right.
Like we don't have
people aren't flying around yet, except for you flying into Kentucky.
That'd be so freaking weird to see that, man.
So a former street railway employee, R.L. Lowry, gave the most detailed reports of the event. He said he heard a voice from above call, and this is a quote, "Throw her up higher, she'll hit the steeple." That's a direct quote that he gave in this report. When he looked up, he saw two men seated on a bicycle-like frame pedaling up in the sky. Above them was a cigar-shaped body of some length. Lowry said that the thing he also had wheels on the side, like on a old steamboat. So remember, we mentioned that dirigibles was a technology happening at this time. So before people really know about it, though. This isn't really common popular culture yet.
All right.
But this guy saw this. It was a direct quote from him in the newspaper.
Heard someone saying,
"Throw her up higher, she'll hit the steeple."
Oh. Yeah.
Maybe mean take it up a little higher so we don't hit the steeple, like in the boat, not actually throw a person up that high. Okay. November 19th, which is 2 days later, 1896, an edition of the Stockton, California Daily Mail featured one of the earliest accounts of an alleged alien craft sighting. So Colonel H.G. Saw claimed that when driving his buggy through the countryside of Lodi near Stockton. So this is 2 days later from the original events, and this is reported on. But it was the November 19th edition. So it was 2 days after the events, but it was still from this original event.
Okay,
so let's remember that. So he said he was driving his buggy to the countryside. He came across what appeared to be a landed spacecraft. Do people know what spacecrafts are at this point in time? Do we have that thing in our culture? I don't know. Well, we'll go back to Jules Verne and what was going on with him. Maybe that came up. Shaw described it as having a metallic surface which was completely featureless apart from a rudder and pointed ends. He estimated diameter to be 25 feet, and the vessel was around 150 feet total length. 3 slender, 7-foot tall, apparently crap, this word's going to kill me. Extraterrestrial. Yes.
Yeah.
Were said to have approached from the craft while emitting a strange warbling noise. Direct quote, emitting a strange warbling noise. The beings reportedly examined Shaw's buggy and then tried to physically force him to accompany them back to the ship.
So alien abductions were happening back then.
The aliens were said to give up after realizing they lacked the physical strength to force Shaw aboard. So these aliens flew down here from a different planet to grab one guy, but he's like, said, nope.
No, thank you.
Yeah. And maybe technology probably makes us all weak, right?
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with some tough guys from Earth. Will Smith comes at you. What are you going to do?
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah. Those little punks. Those guys were small little things inside those big things, right? In Independence Day?
They weren't that small, really?
I mean, they were like little boy size.
Really?
Yeah, because they were they're like the things with all the arms. That was like exoskeleton or something.
Oh.
Because then they saw them floating. They were like human size and they had big eyes. Or like a little smaller than humans.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, he's like, welcome to Earth, and punched them, and they opened, like,
he opened them up.
Right.
Yep.
He dragged them.
Yeah.
You come down here, ruin my day. And he's like kicking them and stuff in the desert. And what's that smell? Man, he's awesome. Well, hey.
It was a time.
I'm on his side. Whatever. I'm on everybody's side. Chris Rock, whatever. The comedian.
So this guy.
This is what this guy's saying.
They try to abduct him.
And he said no.
Said no. They're too weak to get him.
Then they ran back to the ship and sped away. He believed them to be Martians sent to kidnap an Earthling for unknowable but potentially nefarious purposes. So this was seen as one of the first recorded attempts of alien abduction.
Okay. Oh.
One of the first published, anyway. 5 days later, from the original sighting, so November 17th was the original airship sighting, these mystery airships, they came back. On 5 days later, November 21st.
Trying to abduct someone else.
21st, 22nd. Yep. The light this time appeared from the northwest and went straight over the town, running against the wind. This is over the town of San Francisco. Okay. There was a guy named Jacob Zemensky. He had a small telescope, reported the lamp was an electric arc light of intense power. So this was a guy, looked at it through his telescope in San Francisco. And again, all this stuff we're talking about here is recorded in newspapers because at the end we're going to talk about it's going to come back.
Okay.
He observed the light didn't move in a straight line, but seemed to bob with the wind up and down. Another witness with a field glass, which is a little telescope, reported to see a dark body behind the light. Again, same thing came up last time. So it was bright lights with a body behind it. So common between all the.
So when they're saying
stories.
A body, they mean are they saying it looks like a body of a creature or like a body of a
flying body? Like a rounded body.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It took 30 minutes for the thing to cross the city and disappear into the southwest. During this time, thousands of people observed it and observed this thing happening.
Mm-hmm.
All reported on. They were all reported their findings. It also included a city's deputy sheriff and a district attorney of the area in California. The same night, the airship also appeared above other parts of California and up to 90 miles away. So it was between different parts, including San Francisco and other parts of California. It was about 90 miles was the range of people being seen in this thing.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people in between there. Over the next few days, airship sightings were made not just in California, but far away as Washington State and Canada. So Western seaboard going up. Okay. So at this time, there was newspapers reporting on this phenomenon at this first kind of wave that was part of the beginning of the wave. The newspapers reported the incident with captivating headlines such as, "What was it?" The term airship gained widespread recognition. So the term airship was kind of used as a common theme through all of these stories. The newspaper went wild with some supporting idea of an airship, some ridiculing it. Stories began to suggest that the airship was a work of a mysterious inventor who was testing his device at night so that his ideas could not be stolen.
Iron Man.
Yeah. It didn't seem outrageous though, because at this time there were hot air balloons.
Yeah.
Balloons capable, but they weren't powered
right
in the way that we know as like forward propulsion.
Yeah.
There was no propulsion systems.
Yeah.
Especially because most things were steam powered at this time.
Right.
We didn't have any other. There wasn't an internal combustion engine.
You guys would say when did that come around?
It was early 1900s.
Okay.
Late 18, like probably around this time it was getting invented. I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah, because it may actually. You know what?
Well, what about the locomotive? Like
that's a steam power.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah.
Didn't know this because I teach classes about it.
I'm like
1860.
Ooh, really? The internal combustion engine.
Yeah, but it was also extremely
It had to be
heavy.
dangerous. Oh, heavy. Okay, yeah.
1860, but then the first successful one called the Otto engine was 1876. So this idea of having a 2-stroke or 4-stroke piston engine. There were other type of engines this time, but they still needed like a way of powering it. So
yeah.
it really, at this time, it was so new that it probably wasn't being used to fly because it was probably super heavy.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
okay.
I want to say these are just like the like a Zeppelin
Dirigible.
Yeah. But
wait, we're gonna get to that because that's what a lot of people say. It's one of the 3 main tent poles to hold up this tent of love that we have here. Love and friendship. Remember we went camping that one time, and okay, we went camping a lot of times, but like there's those people pulled up next to us at the campsite, and like we were trying to help them put up their tent in the middle of the night. We kept on throwing their poles into the darkness. They're like, oh, I don't know, you have a pole. I don't know.
It's so terrible, like so funny at the time.
I think we eventually helped them out, but
we
like
did,
like,
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know where it went.
Well, I just remember they're kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to not camp directly next to us.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, we're just like, oh, I don't know where it's went. Just whip.
Yeah, like you might. Oh, I guess you gotta sleep in your car.
Oh man, see you guys later.
Yeah, college was awesome. All right, so the idea of balloons capable of carrying people wasn't really outrageous, but these people, like that one report was like a guy and 2 guys on a bike,
right,
pedaling, forward propulsion type of thing.
And then the other one has like these, what are they, very tall things come out and like try
7-foot people,
yeah,
humanoid things. So over the next couple of days, airship sightings expanded beyond California, reaching Washington State, Canada, and other regions. This story of these things, these mystery airships, was starting to spread from California outward, fueled by newspapers. That's how we recorded it, though. But again, that's how that's what news was at the time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like there's someone making a YouTube video talking about this crap.
Yeah.
Like some weirdo sitting right here.
That's how information was disseminated. Is that the right word?
I mean, plus they had to sell newspapers to stay in business.
Yeah.
And so they
like, make it a little more colorful or like bib for some certain things or
embellish.
Yeah, thank you.
And William Randolph Hearst. And what was the other guy? Pulitzer. Hearst was like the California guy. Pulitzer was New York. And what they were kind of battling on who have the best papers.
Yeah.
Most sales. So most in sales. And Hearst what he did was he made what we have today as the modern like shock culture, where he made words really big, bold words and really big titles to get people pulled in. And that's what he did to get people to buy his newspaper. And people were like, well, the news is the most important thing. But he's like, well, you're going to need people to buy it first.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. What's going on now? Yes. Like we talked about this before, Weekly World News.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't think I've ever opened one up, but I always like those covers. All right. So.
Fat boy.
Yeah. Poor guy. So next we're going to have the second part of the wave. We're jumping to the second part of the wave. So January to April of 1897, the airships reappeared over Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, and other Midwestern states starting in January 1897. So I organized this list of all these accounts, kind of the most popular, biggest ones, most well-regarded ones, into by state. The dates might jump around a little bit because there's a lot of them. But I try to organize it as succinctly, concisely as I could. So first one I'm going to go with is Arkansas. And this is not alphabetical order or anything because it goes Arkansas, Texas. So, yeah. And then to Nebraska. So, I don't know how the alphabet works. But anyway, Arkansas. One witness from Arkansas was supposedly told that an airship pilot during the tensions leading up to the Spanish-American War was bound for Cuba to use as a Hotchkiss gun, which is basically a small cannon, to kill Spaniards. So that was in Arkansas. So witness saw a flying airship, mystery airship, and was told by others, this is reported in the paper that it was this airship going to attack Cuba. Because Spanish-American War, what was going on with that? Was that around this time? I guess it had to be.
Shortly after this. Yes, not far after, like a year or two after this.
It officially started?
Yes.
So maybe this was like precursor?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure there like tensions at this point were rising between the Spanish and
Was
Americans.
Mexico part of America at this point?
No.
In Mexico, this might have been like, and this is Arkansas. A lot of these Midwestern sightings are like Arkansas, Texas, Nebraska. Like, again, maybe people from that area were going off to fight. Anyway, you bring that up. I'm gonna go like this. Texas. 3 men from Texas reported an encounter with an airship and with 5 strangely dressed men.
Yeah, Mexico's already part. Sorry, it was its own thing at this point.
It wasn't part of America, or it was?
It wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, it was still
Mexico or Texas?
Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mexico was its own country.
Yes.
Okay. So again, Texas. 3 men from Texas reported an encounter with an airship and with 5 strangely dressed beings. And that P word was in there, but I changed it to trainly. I can't say that one.
Peculiar.
Nope, not even trying. They asserted that there was descendants of a lost tribe of Israel, these 5 beings, that had learned English from a 1553 North Pole expedition.
Wait.
Yeah. So
these beings said this?
3 men from Texas said they met. There was an airship.
Yeah.
During this wave.
Yeah.
There was an airship that landed, talked to them, and it was these 5 beings came out, strangely dressed, and said they were from the lost tribes of Israel, and they learned English from a 1553 North Pole expedition. It was 300 years prior. Okay. Right. April 19th, 1897, in Aurora, Texas, the Dallas Morning News reported that a couple of days before, an airship had smashed into a windmill belonging to a judge, and then it crashed. The occupant was dead and mangled, but the story reported that the presumed pilot was clearly not an inhabitant of this world. There was also strange hieroglyphic, which is a quote, figures on the side of the wreckage, and it resembled a mixture of aluminum and silver, and it must have weighed several tons. The story ended by noting that the pilot was given a Christian burial in the town cemetery. I think later, MUFON went and tried to like look the story up and figure it out, and they like debunked it, kind of. Okay, in some ways.
Did someone go like dig this?
They debunked that part, but a judge was the one who reported this. Again, this is all in news reports, a lot of it.
All right.
We're gonna jump to Nebraska. On February 2nd, 1897, the Omaha Bee reported that an airship sighting over Hastings, Nebraska, on the previous day, so it would have been February 1st. That was just they saw one from multiple reports the day prior, so it was in the February 2nd edition of the Omaha Bee.
Okay.
On April 16th, 1897, again in Nebraska, a story published in the Table Rock Argus claimed that a group of anonymous but reliable witnesses, always a great thing, had seen an airship sailing overhead. The witnesses claimed that among the passengers was a woman tied to the chair, a woman attending to her, and a man with a pistol guarding their apparent prisoner.
Oh, so is this airship just wide open, or like?
Hey man, I wasn't there. Next time I'm there, I'll let you know. Before the witnesses thought to contact authorities, the airship was already gone. So, I mean, how long? At this time, though, they're not like, are they going to run all the way to the authorities? Whatever, you know. Next, still in Nebraska, was the Albion Weekly News reported that 2 witnesses saw an airship crash just inches from where they were standing. The airship suddenly disappeared, with men standing where the vessel had been. The airship pilot showed the men a small device that was supposedly enabled them to shrink the airship small enough to store the vessel in his pocket. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I would just beat the crap out of him taking that.
Yeah.
A rival newspaper, the Wilsonville Review, Wilsonville Review, playfully claimed that its own editor was an additional witness to the incident. And that he heard the pilot saying, "Waiver F. Prof. Espicus." Okay. Direct quote. The phrase he allegedly heard is "subscribe for the review," spelled backwards.
Oh, wait. Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
How convenient this editor was there.
But this was a competing newspaper.
Oh, right, yeah.
So this is a competing newspaper. Like, it must have been a spoof. Like, he's just trying to mess with them.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
You're silly.
Okay.
You're silly because you're saying these aliens are real.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this to kind of boost, kind of poke fun at you because you're our biggest competitor.
Rival, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're going to jump to Michigan. April 10th, 1897, an airship was sighted in Alma, Michigan, followed by sightings from Benton Harbor, Holland, Niles, and Menden, which were all on April 11th. On April 12th, the airship was seen over Battle Creek in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We were in Kalamazoo.
We were,
great
yeah.
Place.
Yeah.
Michigan seemed great.
Yeah.
Awesome. An airborne explosion was seen in the pavilion, with alleged airship debris being found there and in nearby Comstock. The next night, a farmer living near Battle Creek claimed that the airship came within 100 feet of the field of his farm, and a wheel fell off the airship and was embedded in the ground. These sightings peaked around April 15th, but continued into early May. So in Michigan, the sightings still continued with stories like this.
I think it's interesting though. Like a lot of these people are seeing, they're using, like they're saying there's wheels, and they sell someone with a gun, like a pistol.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're also, as humans, we try to like.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they're trying to. They don't have like the information we have now of like flying things.
Right.
So I'm trying to like as you're
people being strapped to someone being strapped to a seat is called a seatbelt. Like
right. Yeah. Right. Just using like what they know of that time to explain what they're seeing, I think is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's again they're using the wheel fell off and landed around.
Like when they said like a lot of like these ships have like metal aluminum kind of like our planes
metallic
like we'd be able to be like, oh, that's clearly a plane, obviously, but like back then they're just like, how do we describe this with what we like the knowledge that we have, what we don't have, like
right. It's like a flying cow.
Yeah. It's cigar shaped.
Right. We're gonna jump to Missouri. April 10th, 1897, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch published a story reporting that one W.H. Hopkins encountered a grounded airship about 20 feet in length and 8 feet in diameter near the outskirts of Springfield, Missouri. The vehicle was apparently propelled by 3 large propellers and crewed by a beautiful nude woman and a bearded man, also nude.
Oh.
I mean, why don't aliens need clothes?
Yeah.
Seems like that's like the ultimate.
They're beyond clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like eventually humanity might get there. But, the chains of
shackles
of clothing. Which I'm not saying we should all. I quite enjoy my clothing because it's nice and toasty.
We're in Missouri now, right?
We're going back to Missouri. So Hopkins attempted with some difficulty to communicate with the crew in order to figure out its origins or figure out who they were, right? Just trying to communicate with them. Eventually, they understood what Hopkins was asking of them, and they both pointed to the sky and uttered something that sounded like the word Mars.
So people are interacting with these aliens. And
correct.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yes. Now we're going to jump to Minnesota, which I always forget if, like, is Minnesota a state?
Yes.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah.
I always think it's Minnesota, Minneapolis. Like, I never know. I'm always going to look it up.
Yeah.
And what's the other with the Twin Cities?
St. Paul.
Or do they actually look the same?
No.
Why do they call them Twin Cities?
Because they're like right there. There's only like a river between them.
It won't be the same city.
I don't know how that works.
No. Midwestern people, come on, get your stuff together. Seems like it's just.
Yeah, the river right between them. I don't know.
I'll tell you this. I remember vaguely playing Sega Genesis with my dad. We were playing a baseball game.
Okay.
And the Minnesota Twins was the team on there. And I was like, why are they called the Twins, Dad? And he's like, well, son.
Well, idiot.
The Twin Cities. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, there's Twin Cities. The Twin Cities. And probably up until...
Do you think they're just like mirrored off of each other?
They were like who would? I always thought like,
why would you
growing
do that?
up? I'm like, why would you do that? So stupid. Why would they waste that kind of money?
Yeah,
they could have made.
They could have done so much more with.
They could have gave me
those
things.
Resources,
right? Yeah, could buy me a better Sega Genesis TV or something. I don't know. Anyway, so back to Minnesota, which I hear is just lovely. Would love to visit.
Out in the winter.
Seems cold.
Yeah.
On the night of April 13th. Minneapolis papers carried an account of a physician from Rice Lake being abducted at gunpoint to care for the airship's captain. They took him to take care of the captain, which they're aliens. Why would they need a human physician?
I don't know.
You can fly all the way across the cosmos, but you got to get a human to fix you up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was suffering from influenza. I guess maybe they picked up
this thing on the.
On the ship, they came and took this physician aboard and said, "Fix our captain." Okay. But they're aliens, unless they got influenza from being here.
Maybe,
like World of Worlds.
I was gonna say, yeah, they breathe their air. Yeah. You got the flu. Sorry, you're gonna have diarrhea.
Yeah, again, common theme in human history. After a struggle, the doctor escaped by leaping from the airship into the lake 40 feet below. However, the Rice Lake chronotype gave a more realistic account of events in which a doctor fell into the lake as a result of breaking through the ice while trying to cross, and not from the airship related reason. So they said like, no, he actually just fell through the ice and he was saying that because he was probably drunk. All right, we're going to jump to Kansas now. An account by Alexander Hamilton of Leroy, Kansas, supposedly occurred around April 19th, 1897, and was published in the Yates Center Farmers Advocate of April 23rd. Hamilton, his son, and someone else, another person, witnessed the airship hovering over his cattle pen.
Okay.
Upon closer examination, the witnesses realized that the red cable from the airship was had lassoed a heifer, but had also become entangled in the pen's fence. Okay.
They're trying to steal a cow.
Yeah, right. I mean, what else are you going to do when you come down here? After trying unsuccessfully to free the heifer, Hamilton cut loose a portion of the fence and then stood in amazement as the ship, cow, and all rise slowly off and sail away.
They stole his cow.
Stole his cow and part of his fence. This has been suggested, this event in Kansas here in 1897 was suggested to be the first and earliest report of cattle mutilation. They're taking a cow away. You know, what we have in current.
Well, I remember like just seeing, I don't know where I've seen this stuff, but like I'll see like UFOs abducting cows. That's like a common thing I see, but I don't know if it's because it started because of this.
I think this is kind of like what they bring it back to.
Yeah.
However, first off topic, you know, remember when we were growing up, there was all those things about the crop circles?
Yeah. I think, didn't they found out like...
It was just people doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're putting like wood on their shoes or something like that, or like...
Just pushing it down.
Yeah.
The hell?
I forgot about that. That's just done now.
That was like a huge thing going on.
Huge,
people were like, what's happening?
It's over.
And they're like, oh no, it's just some people out there doing it. Like they're like really intricate designs too.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. There's like no one does them anymore. Or you don't hear about
because they
it
were
anymore.
like, oh, that's what it was. It really wasn't aliens. It was some, because nothing was burned and they're like,
yeah.
But then I guess maybe they didn't use propulsion like we have it. So, but it was just people pushing the stuff down. But I remember seeing it on the news.
Oh yeah. A lot.
I don't remember what it was being said though. Like I don't know if they were like, "Hey, there's aliens," or it was just people like, "Yeah, we see these things around these cornfields. We're not sure what they are yet.
Yeah.
We're investigating." Anyway, however, so going back to Kansas and these guys, in 1977, UFO researcher Jerome Clark, who we talked about earlier, debunked this story and confirmed via interviews and Hamilton's own affidavit that the story was a successful attempt to win a Liars Club competition to create the most outlandish tall tale. Yeah, a Liars Club. We should start a Liars Club.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube, so that's probably what we are now anyway. Like youtube.com Liars Club, whatever. Or that's like top level domain. Anyway, that's the most prominent direct sightings for the second part of the wave.
I never heard of any of these.
Yeah, this is like,
because you like you said, so it's all kind of a precursor to like what happened after Roswell and stuff. But
Kecksburg, Kecksburg incident.
Oh right, yeah. Oh, that was it. Was that before Roswell? That's kind of like the Roswell of England, right? Sorry, what was the name of the one you're gonna do?
Kecksburg was Kecksburg. That was in Pennsylvania.
Was that the one your like relative that was interviewed? Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Like, yes.
No.
Crazy. It was
a reporter. When did that happen?
I think it was around the same time as Roswell, but it was, so what I think it was a military satellite, like USSR military satellite. But anyway, maybe someday we'll do it, but I do have intimate knowledge of that. Kecksburg was in 1965.
Okay.
When was Roswell? Before that? 64?
Yeah, like 48, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
I think.
I don't know.
40s? Late 40s.
So, yeah, it must have been. It's all the same stuff.
But yeah, sorry, what I was meant to say, what I was trying to get at is like, yeah, never heard about any of these other things like that you just talked about. Like, I never heard of the airship thing. Didn't even like, and when you said that, I was like, they're just sightings, but these people are saying they like talk to these things and like,
yeah,
we're asked to go with them or try to take with them.
There's a lot more, but like, obviously it's hard. Like, there's over 100,000 reports.
That's insane. And lots of people are seeing these things, like
seeing these events go on across this wave,
right,
from 96 to 97.
As far as what the newspapers are saying, though.
Yeah, these are all recorded newspapers. All the stories we went over were recorded in newspapers. Possible explanations. So we're going to go into our theories now. Okay. So before I go into these, what do you think this could have been? Something that was seen by thousands of people across the West, Midwest, and even in the East Coast of the United States. I didn't really put the East Coast stuff in there because there was some stuff in like East Coast, but I think it was a little later.
Okay.
It's kind of still keeps expanding. But anyway, what do you think this could be?
I think it'd be a mixture of things. I want to say that people are probably testing. I'm not saying there's one eccentric guy doing this, but probably testing the ability to fly, or like, what did you say they're called? Like the didgeridoos.
That thing in spin.
I think the rain. That's a rain stick.
Dude, I have
didgeridoo. Yeah. Anyways,
I don't know how to spell it. I'll look it up.
What did you say they're called?
Dirigibles.
Dirigibles. Yeah, I think people are just experimenting, testing the boundaries of what man can do as far as flight.
Flight at night?
Other than,
These are all at night. All these sightings were at night.
Yeah. Maybe they're doing it at night because it could have been illegal to, well, there would have been
no FAA.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Right.
Yell at them?
Yeah. Maybe there's
don't go flying away from me now.
They're just trying to do it in secret because they don't want it's successful. They don't want it getting out or stolen. I don't know.
So you don't think it's aliens? You don't think it's?
I think I would like to think it's aliens. That'd be really cool. But I think people might be testing these things out. A local newspaper gets a hold of it. It gets kind of blown out of proportion. A neighboring city hears about it. That newspaper writes, it's like, oh, we'll do our own story because that probably sold like a bunch of papers for that town. It's getting exaggerated. They're not doing like, or ethical reporting.
People are coming forward.
Yeah. Yeah, where people are actually coming forward. But
it does happen in clusters, though.
Yeah, right.
Because you have the earlier first part of the wave, and then you have the second part of the wave, all around the same dates, like a couple months, weeks here and there. But generally, first wave's over in California.
Yeah.
And up into Washington and state and stuff like that.
It's like the fact that those 3 aliens tried to kidnap the one guy's like, no, I'm not going, and they couldn't forcibly get him to go, and the other ones were like, hey, our captain has flu.
Can
you help him?
2 naked people showing up.
Yeah. Those guys who learned English from going to an expedition to the North Pole,
the lost tribes of Israel.
Yes.
In the 1500s.
The 1500s, yeah.
And then they showed up in Texas.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do now is go into some theories.
Okay.
And this is crazy because there's a lot of different stuff going on. Remember, at this point in time, there was no, what we know as airplanes around. The Wright brothers didn't make their first short flight until 1903. So there really wasn't nothing, and that was using combustion engine and things like that.
Yeah.
But what we see today, or like what we know is today, they didn't have anything like that.
Right.
All right. So the first, I didn't have these in any order. I tried to like order them in like realistic to least realistic or whatever, but it's just, they're so crazy that I don't even know where to put them. Because like, it isn't like they're so in depth. Because again, there's 3 tent poles.
Yeah.
But then there's also, all of a sudden, hey, gotcha with a little gut punch, because there's the 4th tent pole, which is just kind of boring. It is
it's kind of boring.
It's a celestial object. Specifically, Venus emerged as a plausible explanation due to the brightness and potential to appear in unusual specific atmospheric conditions. So Venus is usually really bright, but I don't think it'd be as bright as this. And then you can see Venus with your naked eye.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is big.
What they used to say, like, it's like I don't know if it's Venus or like some planets shining off the ground and swamp gas and like causing all these reflections, and it's not really aliens or.
Oh yeah, swamp gas and everything. That was Blue Book and stuff. Like it goes into like the thing I wanted to do originally when I set out to do this was the Rendlesham Forest incident, and then and then you go into like what was going on with Operation Blue Book and like how they were messing with that one guy. We'll go into that stuff later, but like how they were just messing with a guy and he was feeding a lot of this into the popular culture. But anyway, so that's like my 4th tent pole, which is kind of like I just want to push that tent pole back. I want to throw that into the woods like we did to those people, because that was kind of like it seems like it's I've been in the middle of the woods. I've seen Venus. It's bright, but it's not as bright as like people are saying this is.
Yes, right.
Right, and it's not landing and being naked people in there. If it was, pretty rad.
No,
but anyway,
diarrhea.
Okay, so here's the tent poles. All right, first one we're gonna go into is fake news. So there was a book by Robert E. Bartholomew. He's one of the major people. One of the major books debunking a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
He has a lot of really in-depth kind of research on it. But again, with any research, he also could be wrong. I mean, it's just general research. And he looks at a lot of like the research was like the reports and looks at like kind of psychological issues and socio-cultural issue things going on, and it's like kind of comparing and contrasting things.
Okay.
I mean, it's very in depth. So it's called The Airship Hysteria of 1896 and 97. Robert E. Bartholomew, with the links in the bottom there for this video or podcast feed, whatever. So articles in Detroit Free Press and Sacramento Bee played a role in sparking the first sightings of the 1896 wave. So that was basically going back to the Detroit Free Press and the Sacramento Bee. He was also talking about yellow journalism with these kind of stories and newspapers typified the period and contributed to the wave. So they were kind of like, as one started writing about it, others started writing about it. And we've talked about yellow journalism before, but explain it.
I think it's just like sensationalism.
Yes.
But I think it's a little worse because there's not really ethics involved, it seems. Like it's more or less just like, we got to sell this paper any cost kind of thing, where we'll smudge some things, not really be totally 100% factual for the sake of selling, pushing this paper for money.
And I think I even read I'm
pretty sure that's what it is.
And going back and reading some of this other stuff about it, or about specifically how yellow journalism related to this, was that idea that editors at this time in the 1800s expected their readers to be smart enough to discern from news and non-news. So what kind of the theory was, and I guess it really obviously didn't work out too well. But that was kind of what I got from this reading. And I think it even goes into like what William Randolph Hearst was fighting up against, and kind of the idea of like just saying things and not having to back them up and everything. But anyway, something where
not like
it obviously changed for the better because it doesn't happen now, right?
Never.
Yeah. Throughout these waves, newspapers reported highly speculative stories contributed to the airship rumors. This is, again, Robert E. Bartholomew in his book. In December 1896, an editorial by William Randolph Hearst claimed fake news or fake journalism led to the airship stories. And he said, fake journalism has a good deal to answer for, but we do not recall a more discernible exploit in the line than the persistent attempt to make the public believe that the air in its vicinity is populated with airships. Now he claims the whole airship story was a myth. And that was William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah.
But
didn't he like play a big role in?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got to like really take like
with a grain of salt.
Maybe he didn't sell as many newspapers, and that's why he was saying that, you know? He's like, don't buy those. I have the real stories.
Yeah.
All right. Going into that, this idea of hoaxes, because this kind of combines different things. But anyway, the idea of hoaxes as related to not so much fake news, but just hoaxes as people seeing the news and then wanting to like be a part of that zeitgeist. These people reading these stories in other newspapers or reading newspaper stories and then making their own, again, across this. Again, they were happening so like maybe, I don't know why it happened so like it did, like it's the first part of the wave and the second part of the wave.
Yeah.
But anyway, people were using or could have and have reportedly used balloons with candles tied to them, let them off into the sky, kites with lanterns tied to them. Other people may have created crash sites complete with debris to say like, oh, look, one of those crashed here. You know, basically people heard the news and wanted to get involved in it, wanted to be part of the story. Yeah. So that's part of is part of that temple of fake news, but also not, but it's like fueled by fake news. People were just like, they heard it and they ran with it. And they were like, oh, look, this also happened here. Look, we saw these lights and stuff like that. And it could have been someone else playing a trick on them.
Right.
Or it could have been them making it up. Another one, here we go, is what I call and what could be called a collective public delusion due to popular culture. And this goes into the technology or human ingenuity side of it.
Okay.
So again, going back to Robert Bartholomew, airship hysteria of 1896-97, he attributes ambiguity, anxiety, and excitement fueled by the wave of sightings. Psychological expectations were shaped by popular literature on early flight attempts. Intense interest in airship inventions developed due to the real and fictional stories in the late 19th century. Failed aerial trials and patents further fueled the belief in intimate airship development. So people doing it in secret.
Yeah.
There's a website called unmuseum.org by Lee Christek, which had a kind of pretty good write-up about this whole story and kind of going into like those theories. But what was said was that there was an idea of a crossover of popular culture priming the public. So at this time, science fiction era was kind of really starting.
Yeah.
And the idea of a mystery inventor as a character was kind of big. Fuel kind of created by authors like Jules Verne.
Okay.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea featured a mysterious inventor, Captain Nemo, who constructed a submarine. Verne's later book, Robar the Conqueror, featured a mystery inventor that built an airship, and similarities between the book and some of the airship stories were uncanny.
That makes sense. Okay.
Robar was published 10 years before the wave of airship sightings. So that book was even already out. So popular culture, as I came back before, we're walking back, bringing that forward, is already part of the popular culture, especially in 10 years. You're a kid when you read that book or those books.
Sure, yeah.
10 years later, you hear somebody's story starting up, and you're going to immediately jump on that because you believe it in your head.
Yeah.
Because as a child, you believed it as a possibility, not really understanding what fiction and nonfiction was. The airship wave functioned as a reassuring symbol during a period of uncertainty with rapid technological changes. Airships were seen as a positive influences reflecting man's dominance over the skies. So during this time in the late 1800s, we had a lot of things technologically happening, even though we today think of them as like garbage.
But that
technology.
makes sense, because like you mentioned earlier, like once we figured out, like once the atomic age happened, like that technological advancement of like what we can do with splitting an atom, not just making bombs, but like we're progressing like that. And then more science fiction has because of that, like flying cars get involved with that, UFOs. So like that makes sense.
Rocket engine.
Yeah. So that makes total sense that like this same thing happened back then.
Space races going on in the 60s, yeah.
So it makes sense with even like back then, when they like 1896, 1897.
We
like,
just don't see it as that.
Right. So they're going through the same, they're kind of went through the same thing.
Yes. And I think that's really interesting that there's this kind of like thing going on in popular culture. And
it's
also
like mirroring
like,
or yeah.
And almost like we're kind of this at this time there was like this technological change. I mean, this is the time when they're starting to figure out, hey, maybe we should put our poop pipes under the cities. Like this is literally just guys going around this time trying to figure out how to put pipes under cities that are already established because people would stop getting sick if we do that.
Yeah.
And this was like the early 1900s, late 1800s. They were trying to do this in America and all around the world. Yeah.
Poop pipes.
Yeah. Basically put that stuff underground so
we won't get sick.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. It wasn't until like what the 50s or 60s they stopped smoking in the like hospital emergency rooms. Or like even probably the 70s. Oh, you got a cough?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
It's weird. Take this.
Quick.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I think that's dropped my cigarette butt in his chest.
Basically, you have this perfect timing of technology, literature,
that makes sense,
and practical engineering that are possible coming together at one point in this kind of like takeoff period.
Well, there's that machine man with the frog legs. That
was just you. Takeoff period. Well, we don't. I mean, again, who saw it? Like, who was the person that saw these things? I mean, again, two different places though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it was
Louisville, Kentucky, and New Jersey.
Yeah.
This guy was just scooting across the sky. So that's kind of like this idea of like popular culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's separate from fake news, separate from the newspapers. This is like popular culture, technology coming together.
Yeah.
And like we're having this kind of like wave again, like this kind of like rise in dirigibles, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, yeah, when did that what's up 80 days that
80 days around the world, around the world in 80 days.
Yeah, that I'm sure that was written around or done. That would have been in like the cultural zeitgeist of people's minds.
Yeah, because that was like it wasn't a powered device. So we're gonna go to the next like tentpole thing I'm gonna go into. It's powered flight that we're talking about, not just a hot air balloon, which is kind of directed by wind.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like that's in people's minds too, like what man's capable of doing, what can we do next?
1872.
Okay.
Published in French in 1872 by Jules Verne, same guy.
Oh yeah.
He kind of just like rode one. He had like one direction, just kept on going. He just kind of changed a few things here and there, tweaked a little thing. Good job.
I was in the sky. Now we'll go underwater for the next book.
Verne.
Hey, Verne.
Who was that from?
It's
Ernest.
Ernest. Yep.
Man, why do you say that?
His name was Verne, wasn't it?
Who's Verne? Was it the filming guy? Like, who was Verne?
Verne was the.
He's always just saying Verne, right, Verne?
Wasn't one of the guys?
I don't know.
Right.
I remember seeing it a lot.
I haven't watched this in a long time.
Was that movies or was it a show?
There were movies. Did you do a show?
I'm thinking of Pee-wee and Ernest. I think they're two different people.
They are two different people. Yeah.
Okay.
Verne, he always would say Verne. Wasn't it?
Who was Verne?
I think it was one of the guys in the show.
You can put a comments who the hell Verne was.
Who the hell's Verne? Hey, Verne.
I know who's going to respond.
Karen.
Yeah. To change her username though. Okay, now we're going into the mystery inventor theory. Again, this is a possible theory. The dirigible, and I may be saying that word wrong. I think it's dirigible. Don't really know.
Yeah.
Don't really care. Anyway, the dirigible was an airship built in France in 1852 by Henry Gifford. The Gifford dirigible, the first powered and steerable airship to fly, 1852. The craft featured an elongated hydrogen-filled envelope that tapered at each end. Remember, they mentioned a cigar-shaped thing. Yeah. Well, okay. From this was suspended a long beam with a triangle sail-like rudder.
Triangle rudders.
Yeah, at the end and beneath the beam, platform the pilot and the steam engine. So it's a steam powered, which seems like a weird thing.
Yeah.
Due to the highly flammable nature of the lifting gas, special precautions were taken to minimize the potential for the envelope to be ignited by the engine beneath it. In September of 1852, Gifford flew the airship flew over 27 kilometers, 17 miles. Took around 3 hours.
3 hours.
Again, I mean, that was probably a rocket.
It was a record.
Okay, so...
He made this thing in 1852?
It was 1852. Okay. Another instance of 2 French army officers and engineers also successfully flown in an electric-powered airship called the La France as early 1884.
Jeez. All right, French. Is electric-powered?
That's what I was questioning.
Wow. Huh.
When did old what's his name fly the kite into the key?
Ben Franklin?
Yeah. When did he invent
like
electricity?
100 years before this?
Yeah.
Electric powered.
Wait, 1592 Ocean Blue. Christopher Columbus did the two-step.
Chrissy C. Who? How?
So that was, hey man.
Okay, electric. All right, that's cool.
I'll have to go back and look at my research on that one. But there was also at the same time, however, around the same time as the French flying people. There was so 1852 was the Gifford dirigible.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the Solomon Andrews Arion, which successfully flew in 1863. He was from America.
Okay.
So he flew one in 1863. The Arion, I think is what it's called.
Do you think these are being like highly publicized? Like word is spreading about stuff like this?
Just wait.
Or is it kind of more of a local kind of thing?
Pull the reins there.
Okay.
Spaceman.
Pump the airship brakes.
Yeah, spaceman. Get off the bike. Stop
pedaling.
Yeah. So there was a book by Michael Busby. Michael Bublé, great drink. Michael Busby. It's called Solving the 1897 Airship Mystery. His 2004 book, he analyzed the flight paths and airspeeds from old newspaper accounts and found the evidence consistent with 3 separate airships flying in the Texas skies. So there's a map I'll put on the screen right now, or put in, I don't know, maybe if I have time. His research led him to conclude that they were built in Iowa by a group of people originally from California.
Yeah.
That's where
everything started in California.
Okay. This is just a theory. Not saying this is right or wrong. And this is a quote from him. 3 individuals investigated in this chapter may be the connecting threads between the various airship mysteries we have examined, 1840s to 1897. Dr. Solomon Andrews, Willard Wilson, and Dr. Charles Smith may have been designing, building, and flying airships from the 1840s on. And that was a direct quote from his book.
Yeah.
And I just mentioned Solomon, who built the Arion, which was recorded as flying in 1863.
Right.
Yeah. Powered flight. We're not talking about just an air balloon. Powered flight. He concluded, so this is back to Michael Busby. He concludes that one airship crashed in Aurora on April 17th, 1897. Another crashed off the Gulf of Mexico a few days later. And a third perhaps flew north to New York, where it also crashed at the sea on May 13th. So he's like, this is his theory, is that here's all these different accounts of flights, and here's the explosions, and this is maybe where these 3 specific ones may have crashed.
Were they done at night, like all these other ones are? Do you know?
He didn't really say.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I didn't get that far, or maybe I didn't pick up on that. But it seems like they were flown at night because they may have been secrets.
Okay, makes sense.
It also doesn't say they were flown during the day. 2 other airships the group built in Iowa met their demise in Michigan and Washington State.
Ah.
Yep. Respectively, and the aviators presumably died. So that's maybe why it wasn't really talked about.
Okay.
But there's a reason why we don't really hear this as like being real, because I'll talk about it in a second. 2009 book called In the Great Airship of 1897, a book by J. Allen Danelick concludes that the airship was built by an unknown individual, possibly funded by an investor from San Francisco, as a prototype planned for commercial passenger airships.
Okay.
Danelick demonstrates that the craft might have been built using materials and technologies available in 1896. So he figured out hey, this is what they had available. Mm-hmm. This is what they probably built it on. The ship, he proposes, was built in its secret to safeguard its design from patent infringement as well as protect investors in case of failure. Noting that the flights were initially seen over California and only later over the Midwest, he speculates that the inventor was making a series of short flights moving from west to east and making a series of, and following the main railway lines for logistical supports. And that it was these experimental flights that formed the basis for many, though not all, of the newspaper accounts in the era.
Interesting.
Danelick also notes that the reports ended abruptly in mid-April 1897, suggesting that the craft may have met with a disaster or it was shut down, because the venture was over, wasn't successful, wasn't fast enough, couldn't carry enough crap, whatever. Following the railway lines, I really like about that because and it was at night. You couldn't do it during the day, that type of stuff. Maybe they weren't used at night, whatever. Okay, last part of this tentpole is military technology. San Francisco attorneys, this is well documented. There's a couple different articles talking about these guys. One of them was notably called Airship Collins. Yep. And William Henry Hart emerged claiming to represent investors of the airship. They described the airship's features and capabilities, including the potential for a bombing mission. Reports of encounters with the airship's crew and claims of crashes and explosions added dramatic events to this narrative. So these guys said, hey, we are involved in that.
These are attorneys?
Yeah.
These were attorneys? Okay.
That they were involved in this kind of idea of building airships for military use, Spanish-American War.
Right.
Because other countries were developing it.
Yeah.
And during this time, there really wasn't that much of, it wasn't like there was news reporters out there with cameras filming this crap. So they could probably just get away from here. We're doing it at night, that type of stuff.
Yeah. And it seems possible, government was doing this, federally funded.
Or maybe not yet.
Yeah. Or, there's this a couple eccentric guys who are let's build something.
Yeah. So we have these kind of, again, fake news, this common cultural phenomenon of technology, popular culture all coming together for this new technology of flights, powered flight, again, business. People are always inventing crap that we don't hear about because it fails.
Yeah.
Companies are always, literally always doing this. I saw a company recently that I work with for different stuff with my school, and they were talking about all these things that they've been developing for years, and some of them are never going to come out. And he's we spent 10 years on this, couldn't get it to work where we can make money off it, make it viable.
Yeah.
Business viable. We're yes, it's an amazing technology, probably could save things, but it's not going to make money. We see this with pharmaceutical companies and all kind of engineering companies, but this idea of possible military, maybe these guys are developing it for the military, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, although it seems my tent poles kind of push the aliens right over, theories.
Unfortunately,
but that is another one.
Those all they all can be a possibility, together. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's all the possible theories. What do you think? Or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Yeah, you go first.
I would love it to be aliens.
Yeah, same. Of course. Yeah, it'd be great.
Especially because it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
There's so many reports, so many newspaper articles, so many things being reported on. Newspapers making fun. It's such a cultural event where newspapers are making fun of other newspapers in this short amount of time, which doesn't seem like a year, doesn't seem like a long time, but back then, that's a short amount of time for news to travel.
Sure, yeah.
Because by the time the news, I would imagine by the time everything happened in California, it was probably a couple months before it got to Midwest and stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because there's people reporting, different newspapers picking up the story. I think this guy, Robert E. Bartholomew, had a really good explanation for a lot of this, but he really goes into the psychological stuff in that it's there was a lot of stuff going on in literature and this technology. So maybe it was not really a thing. The boom and what he calls the boom in airship patents coincided with this wave.
Oh, really?
So these patents kind of came up.
Okay.
Started booming towards the end of the wave, and you're like, oh, okay. But
that makes sense.
There's no record of all that. It was just this kind of like, there was a lot of competition at the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe these contracts or news type of thing. But it seems like all of a sudden now, there's a lot of environmental, because a lot of stuff was happening at night in the winter months. Reduced sunlight.
Right.
Why weren't they doing it during the day?
Not many people want to be as out.
And then all of a sudden these patents start coming out.
Yeah.
So maybe it was people. Maybe it wasn't. I think it was probably human ingenuity.
Yes.
Like humans developing this technology in secret to try to sell it.
Yeah, like you said, I want to believe it's aliens. Especially since like some of the funny like things that these witnesses were saying, but
yeah, why were they saying they saw people if it's just engineers, people developing something like that? But again, was it actually a naked guy, like a naked guy and girl like crashing?
They're really eccentric.
Yeah.
Let's go up here.
Putting it in my pocket, making it real small if it crashes.
High club up here. Yeah, I think it'd be like I said, a combination of everything, like human ingenuity, advancing technology. Maybe there was like this one first time that someone's like, let's just do this propelled flight. People got wind of it. The government got wind of it. Private contractors got wind of it. Like, so there might have been like kind of like a interest or even like a race into like developing something like this.
Were they using hot air balloons in warfare? I mean, I guess you could just shoot it down.
Yeah.
But it'd be like,
too slow.
Could you imagine if you were the guy who was like, I'm above you?
Yeah. I can imagine it could be used for like
to maybe fly
spying,
the bombs over.
Like spying.
Oh yeah.
Just like or reconnaissance.
Ricotta cheese. They're making ricotta cheese up there. They're dropping it on them. Like, I'm ricotta to you. Yeah, I think so. I just don't know.
And then like the newspapers got wind of this stuff, and like you said, we were saying earlier, they're trying to sell newspapers, so they're kind of come up with the most craziest things they can think of, and maybe getting fake eyewitness accounts of these things, or they are talking to these eyewitnesses, and like either eyewitnesses exaggerating it because they read these, grew up reading these books, or the newspapers are exaggerating it. But I don't think it's aliens, unfortunately.
Yeah, you really. I started
what
this
were these
out.
people seeing in the 1500s then, and that in Nürnberg? Like, what were they seeing?
That's why
they were seeing triangle, sphere-shaped stuff, and like having battles in the sky. Like, what were they seeing?
That's why I put that in there
because
I didn't want. I wanted when I read the whole this thing and put this all together. I was like, man, I really wanted some stupid aliens to be around, man. And so I went back and like found, and I saw these before, and I was like, I'll throw these in there, just like spread it out.
Yeah,
and be like, this isn't the first time. It's like just to show like a timeline. There's times even before what I brought up, because mostly what I brought up was like 1500 stuff. There's stuff before that.
Yeah, sure. And then
like in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, in the 1500s, they didn't have. There wasn't science fiction. They were reading books about, a lot of them even couldn't even read.
Most of them couldn't read.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm okay with it being. I guess I'm happy it's not aliens, because they might have. They can get here.
Yeah, I mean, they also sounded really dumb too.
Yeah, like if aliens can really get here, yeah, we don't want that ones. Yeah. Everything is like it's like a.
At least they know those aliens couldn't conquer us though if they came here. Like they're not gonna if they can't carry three guys. Big aliens can't carry one guy into the ship.
Yeah,
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to get taken over.
What if it's like I always thought like there's. What if it's like some aliens like out like some alien got his dad's car for the weekend and he's like out cruising,
let's go cruising,
joyride.
Yeah, my friend got sick. Can you come help him?
Yeah, like
I can't tell my dad.
Like what if it was just what if like the aliens that swing past Earth are just like they're just like the
joyriding.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like all these dumb idiots.
The kids.
Yeah, they're like kind of when you go on like scary rides like a teenager.
Yeah.
Like look at these stupid idiots.
On my dad's cigar shaped ship. Yeah. Pedal faster, man. We gotta get home.
I'm gonna be grounded.
Grounded.
Yeah.
I'll never be able to leave the galaxy again.
Or time travel. Going back to the 1500s. Going back to the.
Yeah. What is it? What is that? There's a thing where people keep finding like I don't know what it's called, but like photos of people who shouldn't belong there. You ever seen like silly stuff like that? Like conspiracy theory kind of thing. Like
you should probably do an episode on it.
Should, yeah.
Stop it right there, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
yeah.
There's a term for it, and I was like, "That's kind of interesting." It's dumb. Like I think it's kind of dumb, but it's something interesting.
Well, it's like that picture of that lady, like the black and white picture of a lady with like something, looks like a cell phone hold up to her ear.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sure it's just Photoshopped things, but still. Who knows?
But it could have been something you're just seeing at a weird angle.
That's true too, yeah.
And you're like, oh, hey, I mean, there's plenty of examples. Or it was like some like, that one specific instance I looked at, and it was like a horn. It looks like it was just like an old school hearing aid. Like,
okay.
But again, I'm not a hornologist.
Hornologist.
Hearing person. I don't know. All right, Jordan. Anything else you thinking stewing around in that brain of yours?
I just remember from because we've done quite a few stories around this time frame, and like I've had to go back and like find newspapers where like the newspapers are like, yes, the person we're talking to is not the brightest
too bright.
person. So I wonder if like they're
go back to the Kentucky Meat episode.
Yeah. I wonder if like or even like the Matilda Rooney, the spontaneous combustion one, like the guy calls him like an imbecile.
Well, even today, a lot of the stories, you watch anything, go on YouTube and look up any. Okay,
but I'm wondering, like in these reports, like if these reporters was like, if they are actually not fudging what, like embellishing, they're like, this is what this person actually claims they saw.
Oh, I guarantee you they're doing that.
Not maybe in the right state of mind.
Maybe to clean up the language a little bit, but like juice it a little bit.
Frog legs, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've done all the damage we could do to this story in this history.
It's just we finally did something about aliens, and it's just like it's not aliens.
That's the best part about this is like I kind of threw you a curveball by saying we're going to do some alien stuff.
We've always kind of like threw that out there as a possible theory or option, and they're like, oh, you never know. And I was just like, no, it's not aliens.
It's probably not aliens. It's just people being dumb.
Yeah.
Or people being really smart,
right? And
other people being dumb.
Yeah. Because again, these people who are seeing this stuff they're bound by their time, right? They don't have they've never seen anything like this before, so they don't have an explanation like we would today for seeing a plane.
They don't have the advanced knowledge or the knowledge of it to put it into their own terms.
Sure, yeah.
I think it's very common. A lot of things in our history probably.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like technology advances. Like imagine you take like a computer back and show someone like from the 1920s. Like they probably crap their brain right out their butt.
Yeah.
You don't know. Thank you for being here, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, viewers, listeners, however you're getting this. If you want to help us out, hit that subscribe button, give us a comment. You can look us up on any social media, I think Instagram, Facebook, at Mysterious Pals, X or Twitter at _Mysterious Pals, or Mysterious _Pals. You can email us at mysteriousPalsonline@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to our website, mysteriousPals.com.
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah.
I think it's that. I thought it was that. I was get confused because the mysteriousPalsonline@gmail.
Right.
You can help us out by following us on any feed of podcast.
Yes.
And if you would like to send us an idea for an episode, please go ahead and do so.
Please comment too.
Comment.
Even if you don't like it.
If you don't want to email, just comment. Whatever. We just like one ideas. If you don't like it, if you do like it, whatever. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. If you really want to ruin someone's day, tell your enemies. Send them a link.
These guys who can't pronounce words.
Yeah, they said dirigible wrong the entire time. And I'm going to... I really got to make sure this website... Yeah, it's not loading. No, it's Mysterious Pals. It's mysteriousPals.com. Facebook, Instagram, X, email, YouTube, at Mysterious Pals. Any podcast platform. Please give us a follow, give us a like if you want to help us out. If not, if you just stop by, thanks for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully stop back. Tell your friends. Jordan, I'll see you next week.
Stay mysterious.
Stay mysterious, everybody out there. And we love you. Good night.